Okay, good evening to one and all. Software engineering embody the advocacy of a specific approach to computer programming, one that urges that it be treated as an engineering discipline rather than an art or a craft, and advocates the codification of recommended practices. Computers can be operated by the stored program architecture. Programming languages allow to create solutions and pathways that work throughout as programmed solutions. In 1984, the first Software Engineering Institute was established on the campus of Carnegie Mellon University, Pennsylvania, USA. Software engineering is a hot spot of jobs. Indian youngsters have positive aptitudes and skills for working and contributing into the areas of software development and finding solutions. Every software company finds suitable candidates in India for their growth and management. Many youngsters have channeled their creativity into the fields of software engineering, and Kerala has a commendable history in this regard. The challenges, innovations, novel necessities, and adversities in these fields crave for more tuned, skilled, and creative youngsters to occupy decent bargaining position and presence in the field. You'd have to be better prepared now to be in the core areas and companies. The computer programmer is a creator of universes for which he alone is the lawgiver. No playwright, no stage director, no emperor, however powerful, has ever exercised such absolute authority to arrange a stage or field of battle. Softwares are solutions, that is, progressive and logical script to answer to the problems. Creation of the software needs logical reasoning and technical mindset. Based on this professional area, today's My Career, My Identity session, which is 24th in the list, looks into the skill sets that are to be developed by the students to be experts in the computer science field. Today's program helps computer science aspirants to gain clarity about the skills and core values they need to focus to be great software engineers and architects. Creativity, logical reasoning, technical expertise, higher order thinking skills, problem solving skills, etc. are mandatory to this field. You can mass produce hardware. You can't mass produce software. You can't mass produce the human mind. Our youngsters have to find means to develop and practice the core skills and talents to excel in this field. Achieving a satisfactory title in software field is not easy. There are so much of hardships and pressure. Programmers don't burn out on hard work. They burn out on change with the wind directions and not shipping, said Mark Berry. There are certain spaces where individuals can shine the niche position and skills. There is more openings and also challenges. Prolific developers don't always write a lot of code. Instead, they solve a lot of problems. The two things are not the same, said J. Chambers. Technical advances create tussling professional atmosphere to work. And the startup initiatives and core companies are all welcoming young creative minds. The floor The software engineering field is open for the skilled and talented. There are many areas like software design, software development, software testing, and software maintenance. The US Bureau of Labor Statistics counted 13 lakhs 65,500 software developers holding jobs in the US in 2018. Employment of computer and information technology occupations is projected to grow 13% from 2016 to 2026, faster than the average for all occupations. Let's improve ourselves to get into the latest fields of software and computer. Let's work with us, not with machines first. Let's improve ourselves. Knowledge is your operating system. And today we have a young but senior software engineer with us from USA to interact and clarify about the computer science field. Mr. Vivek Srampickal Joseph. His life, success, and passion prove that anyone who is interested, hardworking, and praying can be successful and can work with core initiatives and responsibilities at core positions. And Mr. Vivek found out his area of interest. As he has found out his areas of interest, his fast journey of success began. He had done great service by finding out solutions and helping out many companies and firms. He is improving himself and hard worked to motivate youngsters to identify their career in the field. Mr. Vivek, thanks for being with us. We are glad that your presence and experience will empower many of our youngsters. Welcome. Now, over to you, Mr. Vivek. You can introduce yourself and start the session.
Hi, guys. My name is Vivek Joseph. I'm currently working in the US as a senior software developer, and as fathers mentioned, with such a beautiful introduction, and thank you again for that introduction. I've been in the IT field for more than 5 years, and again, as father said, I've been working. I've primarily worked in just 2 companies, but then I'm right now a consultant who actually works works with solutioning with multiple other companies when they have problems and whenever they need something done in the software area. So I hope I'm able to give you the experience and knowledge that you need to move forward in your career path. I did my schooling primarily in Kerala. I completed my bachelor's in computer information systems and security. That's basically computer science with a focus in the field of cybersecurity in San Antonio, Texas. Right now, I reside in Los Angeles and work for a consulting company here near Los Angeles. I'm currently pursuing my dream of doing a master's again in cybersecurity, which is expected to complete in 2022. So I am working towards that as well. That's me. Thank you, Father.
So we will be just this will be basically an interactive session. So we participants will be just asking you one after another certain questions for clarifications and your answers. And usually this program, we participants are few in number, but many are watching later. And our parishioners, basically youngsters from Delhi, watch this program later because they may not be attending the live program, but they will be attending it or watching it later. So basically this program is meant for youngsters who wanted to identify their skills to which they are blessed with very particular talents, interests and all. And by identification of those skills, they need to move to practice or challenge those skills to verify whether they are very specific to certain professional areas. So these kinds of interactions with experts will help them to identify their own skills. Also, it will help them to move to certain particular professional areas. So with that objective, we are just having certain questions we will be asking one after another. Okay, first of all, how did you become a senior software developer? Those milestones from your beginning, I mean, from the childhood, what were your dreams and which skills have you developed and how did they connect to this professional area? Can you just explain those things?
Sure. For thinking back, I wouldn't. I was not as career focused when I was young. I happened to fall upon this field by just mere chance. Uh, you know, uh, in India, you know how parents will start telling you to, decide what you want for your 11th and 12th, which stream to go forward with. And while I was thinking about that, that's when we had an optional subject. I think during my ninth grade and 10th grade, I think we had an optional subject for computer programming, and that's when just happenstance that I fell in with it, got to know the subject, and then since then I fell in love with it immediately. I think one of my very first programming languages that I started working with was Visual Basic, and then went on to C and C++ and so on. Uh, since then, I've been trying to cultivate my knowledge of computer programming. Whenever I get to write a couple of lines of code, I still try to do that. Uh, then 11th and 12th, I chose computer science and mathematics as my stream of choice. Completed my 11th and 12th again. So 11th and 12th, we had a programming project. By the thing, I think they still have it. But towards the end of 12th standard, we submit a computer project, which pretty extensive, where you have to submit a working software or some sort of program that the teacher asks you to. Again, I was really successful in that. And as you solve, and that's the beauty of programming as well, as you solve more and more problems and as you write more code and see that it succeeds and is actually useful to somebody, you get addicted to it, right? You see that whatever you do is actually helping somebody, and it triggers something within you to keep pushing forward. So then I started engineering. I thought that was not my field. Actually, I started my engineering with electronics and communication engineering, which was completely different from what I was initially hoping for, and kind of immediately found out that's not my area. So then I moved back to software development. That's how I joined a gaming company in India as a software developer. I started as a junior software developer, a trainee. Within 3 months or so, I gained enough experience to move past the trainee stage, became a junior developer. Uh, Worked there for about 2 years before coming to the US to complete my bachelor's. Again, it's just by happenstance again. I think I keep running into these situations where I just something is presented to me. I try it out just to see how it works out, whether it's my field of interest, and sometimes it just resonates with me really well. So that's when I picked up cybersecurity and found out that is one of the key areas where a lot of focus is being given in a current era. As you must have heard all the biggest hacks that happen all the time. There's the Equifax hack that happened. There was a big thing here in the US, and hacks that happen malware attacks and hacks that happen almost everywhere around the world, right? So that's when I fell in love with the field again. That is a combination of both computer science technology as well as computer programming that happens there as well. So I completed that. Again, a lot of projects that were done in that kind of like led me on to get me a firmer grasp of my field. And all that combined experience came in handy when I joined as a senior software developer here in the firm in Los Angeles. So that has been my journey. And this is a never-ending journey because it's continuous learning. So you never stop learning in this field. As you move forward, you see and learn new things that come out almost every day. Especially since the start of the pandemic, you see a lot of companies have been trying to innovate really hard, and as you go on, you know you learn. there has been a lot of innovations and new technologies that came just between the past 1 year, just because of the need that came up, right? Uh, uh, the emergence of automation has been incredible in the last year and a half or so. The demand for it has gone up really high. The other ancillary technologies that come up as well. There's blockchain, there's artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of them that are really shining these days. So yeah, you continuously learn over time, keep your skills sharpened, and look out for opportunities, and that's how you grow.
Okay, okay. Now,
What
yeah.
what were the skills, talents, and interests of your childhood? How are they connected to the current professional skills? Are you personally still improving and working with those skills? Can you find resemblance in your schooling aids skills as a software engineer?
Uh, Skills and talents. I'd like to say I love solving problems. Right from any sort of engineering skill, I'll try to solve it. If there is something that can be taken apart and fixed back together, chances are I've done it. Right? If it was a computer, I think I've taken apart and put back computers. Uh, Most of them were successful. Some of them have not been. People have been really mad at me for that. Uh, and anything, even cycles and stuff like that, I used to take them apart and put them back together, and all those kind of things, that kind of problem solving attitudes. And something happens, how do you learn how it works, right? What is the inner functionality of inner workings of a certain tool? That kind of, what you call, curiosity is what is really needed in this field, right? You want to know what's happening around you, you want to know in depth about it, then you know how to take it apart and put it back together, and then comes the last stage of how do you create it on your own. And that is how you gradually get to it. That curiosity is the starting point. It's a small flame that grows to become the big fire. And yeah, I feel the skills and talents, I'm not sure. Maybe the it's just this curiosity and the interest and passion to know what the workings of certain stuff that just lies around you, right? uh, uh, how they work. You want to know how they are connected to each other and stuff like that. So then I think I was once the new technology of networking and stuff happened, I used to mess around with a lot of networks. I had this. My dad had this office where all these computers were interconnected. I used to go around and play around with those. Think I've messed around with it too many times, to a point where the computer guy that came to fix my dad's network has blocked me from entering that office at some point. But that is how many times I've taken apart those systems, destroyed the network, and then somebody had to come in and fix it. But then gradually, uh, I came to get the hang of it, and at one point, I was able to take over from the guy who actually came in to fix it. Right, I was able to do it on my own. So that's a small curiosity that starts and then gradually cultivates into the knowledge that you have. And about you asked about how I'm improving. So it's like I mentioned in the previous question, right? It's a process, that it's a continuous learning process. You never stop learning, and I don't think that's a trait that is required on just in computer software. I think any field that you would go through, uh, you wouldn't stop learning once you feel that once you feel you're comfortable and you don't have to learn anymore. You're not going to progress in that field, right? You need to continuously learn what's the new in the technology around it. Like I mentioned, just in the last 1 year, the amount of innovations that have come through in the IT field itself is tremendous. So the moment that you stop looking around for what's new, you stop reading new subjects, you will stop reading white papers and so on, is the day you find the career becomes no longer interesting. So you have to keep looking around, see what's new, so that you can try it out. uh, just you need to know the better ways of doing the same thing that you're doing, right? So like, how would I put that? That's how you come up with innovative ideas. So you know how traditionally you would cut vegetables just using knife. Then somebody said, "Oh, why not have a revolving knife stuck with a mortar?" And that's how we came up with what you call as a mixie today. So you just put in something, carrots and vegetables, or chopped in seconds instead of having to take 5 minutes to do it. So that is how you gradually see what's next, right? How do you keep improving the stuff that you're already really good at, so that you come up with new ideas and technologies to to improve that on that area. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. Now Aaron can answer.
Yeah. Hi. Couple minutes ago, you said that companies brought about many innovations the past year. Can you please throw
Mhm.
light on the new developments in this particular field?
Sure. One of the key areas that I've developed that I saw is, again, this new this was present even before the pandemic started. It's not something that came up just during the pandemic, but the pandemic brought out the criticality of it, right? One such area is the area of automation. So when people started working remotely, people started finding out that uh, the same human labor that when working from home, uh, there are certain gaps that need to be filled, right? Because just because somebody people is working from home, there are servers that need to be restarted. There are certain things that need to be done from within the office. But then when the pandemic started, the offices had to be shut down. People had to be working from home. Then people started thinking, oh, how can I have somebody who's not an actual person work remotely, but then still do the same things that need to be done from within an office environment, right? And that's just one use case, and there are multiple such use case. And one way to solve that came out to be automation, right? Uh, that that led to the emergence. They were already pretty popular before, but then a lot of new tools came out, such as RPA, robotic process automation tools like UiPath, Blue Prism, Automation Anywhere, came out and shined really well. Uh, then just within the last 1 year, if you've been actively listening around, you must have seen or heard about a huge spike in cybersecurity events, right? I think just because people are working from home, and a lot of people lost their jobs, they've been trying to mess around with how to gain access to other people's computers or secure networks. So then cybersecurity became a key field. Uh, Innovative, when the defense becomes more innovative, when people trying to gain access to system continuously improve themselves and become more innovative. So it's an iterative process. When an attacker tries to get innovative, the defense mechanisms also need to get more innovative, and it keeps going on. So there's been a lot of innovations there. Fraud transactions have increased a lot, bank fraud and stuff like that. So securing as well as authenticating transactions became really useful. That's when tools like blockchain came up. It's still not widely accepted yet, but it's still developing a lot. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, the technology such as blockchain has been developing really well, but it's not widely accepted yet. But it's still getting there. Uh, uh, the rest of the fields are, I can't think of more, but then I'm pretty sure there are more. Areas such as artificial intelligence and machine learning has seen gained a lot of traction, right? Again, that in congruence with automation has proven to be really helpful in a lot of key areas, right? So those are some of the areas, and I'm pretty sure there are more. This is all I can think of right now.
Thank you.
So COVID and its impact have contributed towards finding more tech solutions. How will it grow? What way youngsters have to prepare for professional skills?
Uh, there's a lot we can learn from how COVID has impacted, right? It caught us at a time where people were completely unprepared or uncoordinated on how to handle such a scenario. So I feel we shouldn't stop with, okay, we know how to handle COVID, so that's it, right? We know how to handle a global pandemic. If it happens the next time, we know how to handle it, so let's stop innovating. We should start now worrying about other key areas, like other situations that could happen, and preemptively create innovative solutions for that. It's not just about just about waiting for an impact to happen. You could also look into other areas, just problems around you, right? What is happening around you? Gain inspiration from some problem that it could be within your household, like your mom is, is trying to find a solution to something. She's finding to do something really hard. If you can find a solution to it, right? That is one area of growth, right? You still, just within your household, just within the small bubble that you have, you're finding solutions, and that's how you grow. You start with one small solution that comes to, you feel that the same solution can be implemented in a larger scale, that can support your society as a whole, and then grow on to help the country as a whole, and then globally. And that's how you take small steps. And to prepare for that professional skills, it's just it's a lot of research, right? You have to look around. You see that there's something that you find trouble with. You look around initially, whether there's an existing solution to it. And that's how I typically do my research. Is there a solution that's already out there, right? Is there a solution that I can replicate? So then I would go and research more about it. I'd read white papers. I'd read articles, journal articles, and reports on it. See how other people have innovated in the same space. See whether I can gain inspiration from it. Whether I can use the same tool or build something myself, or use that tool and modify that tool to a tool at knowledge, so that I can build my own thing. So that's how you go about it. But then preparing for professional skills, I would say, again, it's a lot of again, learning. The initial stages are primarily just learning. Try it out, experimenting, right? Whatever you try out, you should try it out to make that knowledge permanent, right? Like once you put your hands on in something that you're doing, you would know whether you're actually good at it. So going ahead with studies after 12, maybe a bachelor's degree is found. I have found it to be really useful. Or certifications. There are a lot of certifying companies out there, such as you can do courses online. What do you call Coursera, Udemy, Pluralsight, LinkedIn Learning. There are a lot of, and most of these sites have courses for free that they don't charge you a penny for any of the courses that you do there. Even YouTube has a lot of these innovative videos, right? One of my biggest fans is a YouTuber called as Mark Rober. He was an ex-NASA engineer who comes up with really innovative ideas, right? And the way he approaches them has been really useful. So I'll just talk about one such video that I found real inspiration from. He had this issue where people used to steal packages, like when Amazon deliveries come and the Amazon delivery guys leaves a package outside his door. He found people were stealing these packages from right outside the door and going, taking it home for themselves. Once that happened multiple times, he took it upon himself to create a solution, right? How do I prevent people from doing this in the future? Or how do I chastise them so that they are hesitant to do this afterwards? And being an ex-NASA engineer, he had the technical capability to do it. So he devised a solution that could record all interactions with that object around a 360-degree surface, throw out countermeasures, right? He would throw out sticky guilt that came out. He would have a GPS location pinging out to whoever is using it. He would live stream the video of whoever is handling that package. I think he would dispense a foul-smelling liquid onto the person who would take out the package. So you target it, and he would wait for this countermeasures to trigger only after the person reaches his or her home and tries to open the package, right? So then he was able to. He's actually live streamed those events on YouTube. You could actually see who stole the packages and so on. And that is just one of the areas that he is innovative in. And you would feel that that's a relatively insignificant area to innovate in, but he did it for the fun of it, right? So this is a whole learning process. You keep learning from it, and it's again about the learning part. It's not necessary that you need certification in it. If you can learn most of these skills on YouTube or some of the other video sharing platforms, you can go on. If you have the money for it, you can still go and look up stuff on Coursera, Udemy, and so on. They're relatively competitively priced. Some of those courses are really cheap. You can learn from those. Yeah, and after all, just learning just on video is not enough. You need to do it hands-on if you can. Try to bring in that experience to make that knowledge permanent. Yes.
What is the software market? Developers need to work for innovation and solutions. What is the main thrust of human creativity is to be focused?
Human creativity, I think, again, is to be focused on innovations and new solutions, right? We already have solutions that are out there, and one shouldn't be, satisfied with what you have. You should try to keep pushing forward. Just because you have something, how do I put it? If you were happy with the original TV that you had, the big box, you would never have reached to the very thin LCD and LED monitors that you have today, right? You wouldn't have thought about plasma monitors. If you had just, been satisfied with the fan that you have in your house, you wouldn't have reached what the air conditioning systems or HVAC systems that you have today. If you had been satisfied with bullock carts, right, we wouldn't have had the really fast and fun cars that we have around here, right? So it's all about innovations, trying to improve upon yourself, bringing up with more and more different solutions. And I think that is where the whole human creativity is to be focused, right? We are creative. We are finding there are a lot of people who have that creativity built within themselves, but they are hesitant to come out. So those who, if you can identify people that who have that creativity, help them come out of their eggshell and then bring them up forward, because we need people like that.
Yeah, so can you please tell me the basic duties and functions of a software engineer?
So yeah, as a software engineer, you work with wide variety of people, right? You work with so the multiple aspects to software development. There's testing, there's developing, there's analyzing, there's the actual implementation where you have the development, there's planning, and a whole bunch of things that happen. So at the same time, you are a tester, you are a manager, you are a developer. So there's a lot of things that fit together to what's known as a software engineer. So basic functions and duties, if you start talking about it, would be first thing would be to analyze really well, right? And that can start from right now. Like if you see something, you see something as simple as a light, right? How does it work? Or how can you connect it? How can you connect it in different ways, right? why is certain asking questions about it, right? That's a key part of it. Why is this tube light round, right? Why is the shape really long? Why does it have two prongs? Why doesn't it have three prongs, right? That's how electricity works. You have a positive and a negative. Why couldn't it have three prongs, right? Some devices that you see out there have three prongs. Why does it have three prongs, right? It has a connectivity that goes to earth. So asking that kind of questions, and identifying it and analyzing it would be first stage, right? Even when creating when a customer approaches you with a problem, asking those kind of questions is crucial. When somebody says, I need help with this kind of tool or this kind of I have this so and so problem, who are the analyst that goes to probe the customer more, would ask similar questions. Why do you want this kind of solution, right? Do you think that's going to actually help you? And one says, the customer says, yeah, this is what I want. The analyst should be able to ask back, right? Okay, I see you need this. Why not? Why haven't you thought about an option C, which could be better, right? And that's the first stage where you have an analysis. Then the next stage would be actual planning. So you need to plan the entire cycle, right from when you built an architecture for the solution, when you the actual implementation, the development part of it, and then you do the testing. You need to know how many people are involved. You need to know what's the cost involved to execute the whole process. Uh, the entire thing is not going to be just software developers that do the end-to-end thing. There are a whole bunch of people, but at some point of time during your journey in the IT field, you're going to come across one or all of these areas, right? So during the planning stage, you're going to have to understand what's the cost involved, how is it going to benefit the customer, and questions like that. Once you have that, you have the actual design phase, right? Where you basically say, okay, these are the tools that I need, this is the amount of people that I need, this is the this is how I'm going to put this all together. I have a device A and a device B. It needs to be connected like this. All that design part of it comes out in the next phase, and then would be the actual implementation, right? Uh, you know, this is how the design phase talked about. This is what we need to do. Talking about what we need to do and actually doing it is entirely different, right? There's when you start working on certain stuff, you will see that it's completely different from how you planned it. So you need to be persistent. You need to make sure that you go through with it. When you run into hurdles, you keep pushing through it and then finally get it done. And in any point of time, right, once you develop something, you don't just let it go. The last step would be to make sure that it's still running, it's up to date throughout, and that would be a maintenance phase where you would continuously ensure that the tool that it's out there is maintained. So you provide regular updates to it. You ensure that it's it how do I say it's up to date with the latest trends and so on, right? Because customers' needs change, the requirements change over time. So you have people come in and see what has changed from the day that you build the last version of it to continuously improve. The moment you stop innovating a certain product is when that product dies down, right? So very how do I? So I don't know. I'm trying to think of the name of that bookstore. There used to be a very famous bookstore here in the US, right? Everybody would have heard about it. I can't think of the name of it right now, and that's part of the point that I'm coming across, that I'm trying to get across to you, right? This particular bookstore was really famous here in the US till a point when everything turned digital, but they were unwilling to move forward, right? They said brick and mortar stores are the way to go. They wouldn't want to go into a digital space because people still want to touch books. They still want to get a feel of it. They want to smell it. They want to hold a certain book before going forward. And then they failed to innovate. So when Amazon came out, so Amazon came out initially as a book company, right? They were able to sell books online. Amazon was, in a very short span of time, was able to take out the entire bookstore company, right? Within a very short time, Amazon came out. Amazon right now deals with much more than books. But Amazon came down and completely obliterated this particular company, right? And that's because this company failed to innovate. So that's same thing as when you come out with a product or as a software developer. If you fail to innovate and continuously improve, see what's happening around the world, see how other people interact with your tool, and then if you fail to innovate with it, uh, that's not going to succeed for very long. So you need to continuously and persistently improve upon yourself and the tool to ensure success. Hope that answered your question.
What is the current market demand of software engineers? What shifts are happening? What are the skills that are to be focused and practiced to become a good developer?
Current market demand, software developers, I think in the US and India, I know have a very high market demand for software engineers. I'm not really familiar with other countries. I know if you're looking at just geography wise, I know places like Europe, Germany also have a lot of possibilities if you're looking for abroad. India also has again, it's a highly growing market for software on the IT field, right? Software developers. What was I saying? Innovations and solutions.
What are the shifts happening with, I mean, from the software engineering, the demand, whether it stands and any particular focus, as there are so many improved areas of software development. So that kind of any
Correct.
shifts are happening for any particular area of workers.
So software development is, the typical understanding of, just creating a product has changed, right? Just writing code, something like writing a huge bunch of codes and then, moving out of it. That kind of logic has changed because a lot of other areas have come in as well. One of the areas that I mentioned is, I think earlier, is automation, right? Another key area is artificial intelligence and machine learning, using a lot of math, right? The people are found out to intelligently predict what's going to happen next, and that's just one area, right? You can have a prediction, like using regression algorithms. You can predict what's going to happen down the line. You can, if you just look up machine learning and artificial intelligence, how digital cameras can identify whether it's a cat or a dog, right? I think this kind of mechanisms are used extensively by companies like Facebook and Google to kind of identify people, in areas of facial recognition, identify objects, object detection, all that kind of areas, put together has led to a lot of innovations. And one key company that I like a lot is Tesla, who has been innovating very keenly in that area. If you have seen Tesla cars where they're driving, he has the CEO of the company, Elon Musk, has a very clear, defined goal where he's trying to get to, where he's trying to completely 100% automate, driving cars, right? And he's using a combination of various technologies, including computer vision using cameras, radars and lidar sensors, and a whole suite of other sensors to do away with driving, with actual drivers. Not do away with driving, but do away with actual drivers, so that you have completely automatable cars. I had the an opportunity to travel in this vehicle once, and where this is going is really beautiful, right? He has already developed partially a system that is autonomously able to control the vehicle on the road, including shifting lanes, taking side roads, turning into a side road, moving away for other vehicles to pass. All these kind of key ideas, innovative thinking that that some people thought that was not required, and is actually people are actually finding right now that that is something that we need right now, because traveling has increased, the distance between places that people are going to has increased, driver fatigue has increased. So those kind of innovations brought upon a lot of this, right? And I think another good point, I think Father brought out in the beginning of this class, right? uh, it's not about writing a lot of code. I don't remember the exact phrase, sentence that he used. It's not about writing a lot of code. It's about solving a lot of problems, right? Uh, and that is how that brought about all these other key areas, right? So I talked about automation. I talked about machine learning. Another area would be data science, to actually make sense of actual data that's present in anything. It could be data dumps that are present in logs. uh, it could be documents that you have lying around in your house, or in companies that have been stacked over the last 30 years. So once you start digitizing those documents, usually people or company find it really hard to make sense of this huge. I have seen data dumps of terabytes, like where it's not gigabyte, it's terabytes or petabytes of data that are out there, and people are finding it difficult to make sense of this information. And that's one area of that is emerging right now, called data science, to actually make sense, or the science of understanding that data. Again, that closely, I have seen machine learning and artificial intelligence go hand in hand with that. So there is a major shift that is happening. These are the key areas into which shift are happening. So like machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science, automation, uh, and another key area is cybersecurity. So since even though all of this falls under the wing of information technology, or IT, these are individual verticals that are doing really well and emerging, or like breakthroughs in those areas. Even though it all comes as software or information technology, these are key areas that might be interesting in, and where people have been trending towards. What are the skills you asked, right? So to become a good developer, like I said, I think I've been telling about that since the beginning. It would be to think, be curious, be innovative, don't be afraid to challenge the existing system, and uh, create something new of your own. And then persistence is a great thing. Yes, sir.
Aaron?
Yeah. So what kind of certification, degrees, and skills do we need to become a software engineer?
Or that can be asked even another way, whether certification, degrees, or skills. I mean, what is the priority? Because you are speaking about so many skills, but which is the priority to become a software engineer?
Skills are, I think, even before skills, it's about the the passion to do something. So once you have the passion, once you feel that is something, you have the determination to go through with it, everything else just falls through, right? Falls just right in place, it clicks together. So you have the skills for it, you'll have the drive to learn about it on your own. I have a friend who is working here in the States. I actually met him at one of the conference here, I think. He's again from Kerala in India, and he doesn't even have a bachelor's degree, but he's working for Intel. Intel is one of the biggest, the semiconductor industry here in the States. I think you must have heard the name even in India, where you make those processor chips that goes into your computers, right? He initially worked for a company in Europe. He moved to the Intel company brought him here to the States, sponsored him a visa and everything. He is highly demanded by the company. He has worked in companies such as Facebook. He has worked in companies such as Intel, and he's still moving around as a consultant. So degrees and certificates have a limit. It's just about the skills that have focus. But having said that, degrees and certifications do bring in a certain bit of value. right? So those are not to be completely ignored, even though I said skills are the primary thing. I don't want anybody coming back and said, oh, because Vivek said there are no degrees required, I didn't go for a degree. But degrees actually help you clear that path, right? So not a lot of people are that focused on don't have that drive. So degrees and certifications do help you, do bring in a lot of value, and are looked for by the industry, right? So when you go into interviews, if you're able to produce certificates from trusted parties, that brings in a lot of value. So I think I mentioned a couple of online sources that give a lot of certifications. If short-term courses from right from about 1 week duration to about 6 months duration. You have courses that can help you on sites such as udemy.com, Pluralsight, and Coursera, right? There are more of these small websites that have been coming up, especially again due to COVID. Personal learning has increased a lot. Degrees from as we move on, there are universities that give online learning, right? You are able to get a degree from that university, even actually having to step into that university ever. So that is one area. If you're able to go into that university, well and good. That is another area where you can, another way of doing it. That's if you get that opportunity, please don't miss it. You're able to go into a university, get an actual degree. That's even better. It gives you a lot of hands-on and practical experience as well. So yeah, that is something, like I said. So skills are primarily, if you should develop the skills for it, but certifications and degrees and a whole bunch of hard work gets you right where you need.
So what are the core skills that are tested and asked during the interviews?
That again depends on what are the area that you're trying to follow in IT. Like I mentioned, IT field has a lot of niche, right? So like I said, machine learning and artificial intelligence, if you go into such areas, you're going to be asked questions on probability, mathematical statistics, uh, artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms and stuff like that. If you go into data science, you will be questioned on, again, a lot of algorithms and critical thinking kind of skills. What else? If you basically, if you go into a software development job, you're going to be asked uh, you know critical thinking questions. You're going to be asked problem solving questions. Sometimes there are companies that even go to a point where they ask you for a hands-on coding question, right? So if it's an actual pure software development kind of area, that's where you would look into. Core skills. Yeah, so again, during interviews, another kind of, sorry about that. Yeah, so during interviews, what I found out is you need to have two things, right? You need to have the right attitude to get that job. So that basically reflects on the confidence that you have, how you answer the questions. It is not about just your technical knowledge, right? How you're able to, even if you're not able to answer a very complicated question, the way you present yourself and try to attempt to answer that question gives a lot of information to the interviewer. So the right kind of attitude and the right kind of aptitude. And there's a lot of difference between aptitude and attitude. So if you're able to bring in a lot of critical thinking, right? I think at one point of time when I used to interview certain people, I think one of my favorite questions is, why is the manhole cover round, right? And a lot of people are not able to answer that question. Even when the first time somebody asked me that question, I was not able to answer it myself. But that kind of thinking, this is something that you've seen almost every day in your life. When you drive around the roads, you've seen those manhole covers, the sewer canal, the entrance to that is round in shape. Why couldn't it be a square or a triangle or a rectangle, right? Why is it exactly round and no other shape? Well, there are other shapes as well, but mostly you see it's round. And it is not, I usually don't, because a lot of people don't answer that question. It is not about how you like, and it's not about answering it correctly, and it's about how you try to think or how to approach that problem that makes a difference, right? You try to think about it mathematically. You try to think about using physics. You try to think about using science. Does the round shape bring in any sort of mathematical advantages? And this the thinking process, you can as you talk loud with the interviewer, how you're trying to approach that problem, and that actually makes a lot of difference during an interview. And finally, yes, technical skills do bring in a lot of advantage. After all this, if you have zero technical skills, things can go a different way. But continuous hard work, practice, can bring in improve your technical skills so that you can shine during an interview. I would say so. Rest of everything can be practiced. There are aptitude tests that are available online that will give you a lot of advantage during an interview. Attitude. There are multiple courses that you can take that can teach you the right kind of attitude, that can show you the right kind of attitude. But again, just by doing the theory part of it is not going to help you. You're going to have to practice it in person with your peers, with your colleagues, with your parents, with your friends, to get that right kind of attitude moving on, so that you get it naturally. Then, from the technical skills perspective, there are websites that that let you practice your skills. One of it is LeetCode or HackerRank. That I have accounts in those two, and I continuously practice my coding skills on there. Where they ask you set of questions, they give you time to compete with your colleagues or friends. You can try out in different kind of languages to solve the same question, and that continuously helps you move forward. So HackerRank and LeetCode can help you a lot to identify the areas that you are missing, right, that you need more work on, and improve your existing skills.
Okay. What is the startup culture? Because there are so many startups, and what is this startup culture? Whether it is positive for a software engineer, how it helps? Whether that person has to start with a startup, or how to move as a software engineer.
Getting into startups is I felt so. The first job that I worked in was in a startup company, coincidentally. So, but getting into startups is, the people who's hiring you is a little bit more cautious, because budget is constrained. The skill set is constrained. So so they take you through a whole bunch of process to actually onboard you, to actually hire you. I have felt it more difficult to get into a startup company than to get into a reputed company, because as I go into a well-reputed company, the hiring process is kind of streamlined. So if you want to get into Google, you can actually go to YouTube and say sample, just sample Google interview, right? And then you're going to get multiple videos on people sharing their experience on how to get into Google. But try to look up something similar for a startup company. You're going to run into a lot of issues. You are not going to get any guidance on how to do it, and sometimes people find it more difficult to get into startup companies than Google. Again, that's one reason, is because startup has a lot of work. But in my personal experience, I have learned a lot from working in that startup company. I've worked in multiple key areas in that company. I think I worked there for like almost 2 years. And within my 2 years tenure, I think I've touched upon, even as a junior developer, I've touched upon almost all the areas of a software development lifecycle, right? And that's because the number of people working in that company is limited, but you still have to do the same amount of, the output from the company, or the product that is released has to be done in the same quality as a well-established company. So you're going to have to it's a great learning experience. So it's working there is going to be hard. You know, the amount of learning that you're going to be doing is incredibly high, but the experience and the knowledge you gain is high, and the reward you get from it is also high. So I initially liked working at a startup culture, but then it's a lot of late nights. Not all companies don't, but there are companies and startups where you have to stay up late in the night to kind of get the work done, right? But it's an experience. I would encourage you to go through it, so at least once in your life to know what's happening in that area. You get to learn a lot, and I would highly encourage that you do that.
What are the personal satisfaction challenges and dreams in this field?
Personal satisfaction is usually whenever you come out with a one personal satisfaction is whenever I write a big piece of code and it works just beautifully the very first time. That's a very nice feeling, right? It works right off the bat without any issues, without a single a bug in the program. Bug is an error that happens. It's a programmer term for any issues that can happen during the programming stage. But if that is a really satisfying experience, right? When you write a big piece of code and it just runs beautifully the very first time. But other than that, a lot of developers can attest to me on this, where when you the day you release a finished product, right? It's a very special feeling as well. When you see, the very first job, I was a game developer, and I released games on the App Store on iOS and Android. So it's not me, the company. But then the very next day, when you see that your app is trending on the App Store, people are actually downloading it, people are actually purchasing stuff on that app. That's something, and that's something that you put effort into it to make that a success. That feels really well, and that kind of it's a great reward. That kind of makes you forget all the hard work that you put behind it. Challenges again, a lot of challenges in the software field. You're working with multiple devices, multiple browsers, multiple mobile phones, hardwares, softwares, and stuff like that. Things go wrong all the time. The thing is to have perseverance, push through all the issues, make sure you solve all those challenges. Don't give up on those challenges, and the reward is sweet. So there are a lot of challenges. I can't even begin to say the amount of challenges that you're going to face in this field. But yeah, and I think your dreams as well. Yeah, I am training myself to become an architect in the same field. So I started as a junior developer, and I'm a senior developer. The next natural progression, state of progression, is to become an architect in the software architect field. So that is what I'm trying towards. I'm trying to do my masters, and trying to take online certifications, so that I can move on to the next stage of my career.
Yeah. Which companies and roles should we look forward to if you want to be in this field?
That again depends entirely on how you want to move forward, right? So if it's a software development field, there are a lot of companies. If it's data science, again, there are a lot of companies that do that. If it's even within software development, if you want to there is front-end development, there is back-end development. So front-end development would be your what you actually see, where you see the website, the mobile application, or when you have the back-end where you configure the servers for it. Depending on that, where you're going to work changes, right? And the roles that you're going to work changes a lot. So again, I wouldn't say, again, even in those fields, I wouldn't say there are core companies, right? Like I said, you can try to work for a startup company, right? Or you can try to get that sweet spot where it just crossed that startup company and the company is growing really rapidly. Uh, that that kind of companies can, or you can go into well-established companies such as Google, Facebook, and they what they call as FAN, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, and Google. There's one more, Amazon. Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. So those are key IT companies that actually pay a lot, but it's also really hard to get into. There's a lot of hard work. People do a lot of hard work for years to get into such companies. But again, it goes both ways. You could try for that kind of culture where you get to paid really well and you work for those kind of companies, or you can look for a startup culture. All depends on it's unique to how your personality is, how your drive is, and so on.
Sir, what are the academic challenges and what should be the focus area of students who are pursuing computer science courses and other programs?
The first challenge would be to kind of, and that's a personal challenge that I had to go through as well, to identify the field that you want to go through, right? Is it, do I have to? So as I understand, I'm talking to an age group where you are in the 10th standard trying to determine what stream to choose when you're in the 11th, right? So that is one of the biggest academic challenges. Do you actually want to go for an IT field? Do you want that has been my the greatest challenge that I had to that was the biggest decision I had to make so far in my life. So do I have to go do a medicine, or do I have to go to do an accounting field, or do you want to do software engineer, or there are a whole bunch of other fields, right? IT is not the only field or only option that you have. There is designing, there is architecture, there is engineering, and not just this kind of engineering, right? Not just software engineering. There is aeronautical engineering or civil engineering and stuff like that. Identifying the area that you're actually interested in is going to be the biggest decision of your life. Once you have that done, it's pretty much just hard work. Where do you want to focus? Do you want to focus on once you select that you want software development, right? You need to fine tune, and that happens over the course of years. That's not something that you have to take at one point one altogether. As you work within your IT, work towards your IT experience, you will start finding areas that you would like to work in more. So for me, it was cybersecurity. I loved cybersecurity and started now working on the defense and offensive part of it. Another key area that I liked was machine learning and artificial intelligence, and that is one area that you never stop learning, because I think every week people come out with new approaches, or almost every day. Maybe I'm not knowing a lot of it, but if I'm pretty sure people will be coming out with new innovative ideas almost every day in this area, and it's growing really fast. And identifying that areas is critical, right? So the focus of people you asked about, just when focusing on computer science courses and programs, I feel students should start focusing not just on topics, but improving themselves and their the initial stages. You would want to know more about everything, right? A little bit of everything, instead of becoming a master of the trade. I would say become a little bit knowledgeable in all the areas, so that you can understand which is the area that you want to focus in towards over the course of your career, right?
Okay. When we analyze these working force strength from India and especially from Kerala, there are lots of software engineers all over the world. And what is unique to what is this unique dynamism that is there amongst the Indian youth, or particularly Kerala youth? Why we are more into this area?
Why we are into? Okay, so I would say we are taught a little more, like we have been given very good exposure to math and computer science, like our curriculum have been. So I learned, I was part of the CBSE syllabus when I did my schooling, which gave a lot of importance to computer science development, mathematics, physics, and so on. I think, yeah, that was one of the key fields. I think I had computer science as an elective, I think from 8th standard onwards, 8th or 9th standard onwards. And that was, I don't know whether all schools have it, but that was a great learning opportunity. Again, just the culture of India has been focusing a lot of, engineering, where it, try to do engineering and try to be more innovative, try to solve problems. That kind of push from the society as a whole, as culture as a whole, has been very crucial. But yeah, you're right. There's been a lot, like Indian software developers are in huge demand across the globe. You can, just thinking about the amount of people that are present globally, right? So just think about Google. Google or its parent company Alphabet. The CEO of Alphabet is Sundar Pichai, right, from India. The CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, again Indian origins, right? The CEO of IBM, Arvind Krishna, right? Again Indian. CEO of Pepsi, what was her name? Indra Nooyi, right? I think she moved to Amazon recently. She's a board member of Amazon now, but then she's also from India, right? So the global IT space is being spearheaded by Indians, and I think we have a great opportunity. We are moving in the right direction, and the youth in India has a lot of opportunities as well. It just needs to be used properly and cultivated properly.
Okay, it was a great time to interact with so many questions and from various fields. Is there any more questions? I think Father Lijoy is also there, but he is in the playground attending the program, so there is some voices coming. Yeah, so so is there anything to ask Father Lijoy?
I just want to ask you some practical question with regard to his life. I mean, apart from his industrial and academic life, I know he's very pious and very a practicing Catholic. I know him very well. I have been seeing him from a long time. So, Vivek, I just want to ask you that some ethical and moral challenges that you face, you encounter in your profession, because there is an ethics, a phase of ethics and morality in every profession. So I just want to know the ethical and moral challenges that you face in your industry. I mean, where you are right now in your profession. Thank you.
Yeah. So yes, there are a lot of decisions you can that you have to make daily, right? And certainly asking about ethics and stuff that happen. One such area is how well do you dedicate to your project that you're working on, right? So do you cut corners during your the project? Because cutting corners during a project can save on budget, right? That is one area. But do you actually want to go through it and give produce a shoddy work at the end of the day, which your customers are not happy with? Because most of the time during software development, you charge per resource per hour, right? So do you just actually give a product and then charge and get the money and then say goodbye and not think about it at the end of the day, because you just want to give a delivered product at the end of the day? Do you want to do that, or put in that extra effort, put in that initiative, get in touch with that customer and say, hey, you know what, we can take this one step higher, so that this product not only solves your problem but can lead you to have a growth within your company, right? So there is a lot of questions that happen, that internal conflicts within myself that has happened a lot of time, where I just want to get this project done and get out of it. But when but you have to go through with it. And thinking about it morally, you think about, hey, this is something, this is your work, this is how you're going to be represented or thought about by the customer in the future, or your name in the field, and you do it beautifully, right? You get back to the customer and bring in and say, hey, this is you would be actually benefiting a lot more by doing in a step B, even though it's more work for me, and maybe sometimes it's going to be a loss for me, but this is going to be useful to you. That is one key area that I can think of. A lot of moral and ethical thinking has come into. A great question, Father Leja. Thank you for it.
Okay, now we are just ending the session. A word of thanks. Anyway, Vivek, it was so great to listen to you, and it was all you were sharing your personal journey, not the professional expertise or technical mastery, but how you lived this profession. Truly, because that personal sharing, it was authentic. And the core values, Father Lijo was asking the so-called moral challenges, but you were speaking from the beginning, your morality, your ethics, how you deal with so-called the software engineering area. I mean, your core values you were sharing, and it was very deep sharing for the youngsters. People will surely follow this. Whoever are interested in this field should listen to. I mean, these are the practical, real challenges in this field, and what way. And this is truly, this is what one person identifies his or her own skills, and through that glorifying the truth, the God, because those skills, that are those analytical thinking, critical, those skills also that boost to stand again in the same path, to continue in the same stream area, hardworking, without losing, without leaving. I mean, surely that is the blessing, and you are sharing that authentic reflections and thought. Thanks a lot, and it was truly motivating to everyone. I mean, those who are also will be listening, surely this is motivating and clarifying simple subtle details and challenges of this software engineering field, and those expressions were really useful for us. And the personal journey, you are improving daily. Those examples, because this is really true. If we were happy with the fan or the old TV, then how could have been our life? We have to daily improve. That is not in the technological facilities, but in our life, in our ideals, in our way of life, everywhere. Anyway, you are truly addicted to these values and principles. That's great, and that is pushing you forward. So thanks a lot for being with us, and surely today, I mean, every day a challenging day to create new things, and meanwhile in between those busy schedule and tightly hard work, you found time to be with us to share your personal reflections and so-called the authentic personal sharing. Thanks a lot for being. And Father Lijo, truly he introduced me to you. And thanks, surely all prayers, and I look forward for the success of life, because God has given these skills, and developing those skills and glorifying, that is the success of life. There the complete person is growing and helping out, and also truly thanking the Lord through those development of skills. So you are in the right path, and let your dreams and future life be fruitful, glorifying the Lord. So great thanks.
Thank you, Father, and thank you again for the opportunity to do the same. Glad to be here.
Okay, so thank you even for the participants. Thanks a lot. All the prayers. Yeah.